Right, welcome to this part of the show, and as you all know, it's called Ordinary People, and as always, we have somebody who's doing extraordinary things in the community. When I say in the community this time, we're talking about something even more special, even more different, something that I've been wanting to know for a long time. So our guest today is called Emma Acko, and I hope I've pronounced that right, and her business is called Mama Luna, and Emma will have an opportunity to tell us what Mama Luna does. And if you look at her, you'll never think she is a mama. She's not a big mama, that's for sure. She's a very petite mama, aren't you, Emma?
Yes, I am.
Right. And do you know what, guys? So every week I read out somebody's bio, I'm telling you, and sometimes people give me these bios and they are like an epistle. But today, we have somebody who's actually followed the instructions. The instruction usually is, can I have a 200-word bio? Right, so I'll just tell you a little bit about Emma. She wants you to know a very little bit about her. So Emma Acko is a London-born, Bristol-based Bristol-based creativity practitioner, and she'll tell us what that is. The founder of Mama Luna, a platform to discuss and explore the practice of Yoni steeping. Yoni steaming. And she's also a co-host of a brand new podcast called Woke Up. Emma, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
How you doing, girlfriend?
Thank you so much.
Now, I know we've had a conversation earlier on this year and back in 2018, okay, trying to get you to come on I looked it all up, babes. I looked it all up. 2018, I first contacted you on Instagram, right, trying to get you to come on my show to talk about Yoni steaming. And you have been trying to avoid me like the plague. Now, if it wasn't for my co-host Iola, the three of us would not be sitting here today, baby.
Well, that's why they call me the connector. That's why I'm the community's connector. So there you go.
Well, thank you very much.
I connect people.
So when I went into my I'm trying to send you a WhatsApp message. When I went in there, I saw all these messages. I thought, oh my God. And then I said, oh yeah, I remember who she is. I remember. So then you had an event and you wanted to come on, but it was locked down. You sent me a message. It was locked down. I was like, sorry, baby. Yeah. Anyway, I always say nothing happens before it's time.
Absolutely.
It's time now.
All in divine time, and it's meant to happen today. So welcome, Emma. Welcome.
Thank you.
So now you've got really quite an interesting story, which is when I read your backstory to, I wanted to know what the interesting points were, and if if something had prompted you to start this business, because there's always a story behind it, isn't there?
Yeah.
And when I read it, I was like, wow. And obviously we'll let you tell the story, but I was just like amazed by you've gone through all of that, and then out of it came the Yoni steaming. So please take us from the very beginning in terms of what, the backstory, in terms of what brought you to Mama Luna.
Okay, well, oh my gosh, anyone who's listening, strap yourselves in, but also I just put out but also I just want to put out some trigger warnings just to be on the safe side. So I do mention like domestic violence, abuse, police, and like the courts and bruising and stuff like that. So just putting that out there. So
hold on. Before you launch right into it, okay, let's take you back a bit. Let's take you back a couple of years before that, all right? So tell us a little bit about Emma, where she comes from, and why should we listen to you? Who are you? Where did you come from? That's okay. I know you said you come from Bristol. You were born in London, but you are in Bristol. So did you go there because your family moved there, or was it just a conscious thing that you decided, well, I want to go to Bristol where Edward Colson was? Yeah?
Oh, I don't even do that now. So yeah, don't even get me started. But yeah, so I moved to Bristol coming up to 3 years ago, and I just wanted to change. I heard that Bristol was like a really friendly place, and there were lots of nature spots, which there really are. And I moved here, and I really regretted that I didn't move here sooner.
Oh, wow.
I just wanted that change and pace of life. There's a really lovely I don't want to say spiritual, but maybe sort of like conscious community of people here that I've definitely been able to sort of like find myself in, but I'm not totally immersed, if that makes sense. So I pop in when I pop in, but dip out when I want to as well. But it because of the slower pace, and even though prices of living in Bristol are rising, it is still cheaper than London, so people don't have to work as much. So there's more time for people to actually practice self-development. There are more spaces for people to actually go to sit in nature, whether that's you want to just go and sit in a little forest, or you want to go for a walk by the river, or just want to take a simple bike ride. You can actually do that and literally just like ground in and chill and sit with me, myself, and I.
Wow.
Kind of.
So where's your family then?
My family are in London.
So how many siblings do you have?
Oh gosh, I have. Wait, let me just remember.
Let me cut it down. How many children does your mum have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 of you. Okay.
Yeah.
And the other 5 living in London, and you're the only one in.
Just me. I'm quite happy to up sticks and move wherever. I very rarely stay in one place for too long. I'm just a person of the world. I love to think of myself as a bit of a nomad. I love moving around. So yeah, I'm happy to up sticks and go wherever.
Where do you fall in that lineage there? Of the 6?
Of the 6, so I'm the youngest girl, so all of my sisters are older than me, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 older sisters, then there's me, and then I've got 2 younger brothers.
So there's 8 of you then?
There's 8 and I'm the 6th one.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, big family. Big family. A lot of noise and everything to compete with, but I love it.
Not as big as mine, love, I'll tell you that. There's 11 of us in my family.
Wow.
What?
Oh yeah, you must know that. There's 11 of us. Hey!
Wow, blessings.
Okay, so you moved to Bristol to be closer to Mother Earth.
Yes.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
And actually, so when you were young, what did you aspire to be? When you was leaving school, what did you aspire to be?
I deep down for myself wanted to be like a singer and performer. So I studied commercial music at university, but my mum really wanted me to be a lawyer. So even if I wanted to be a singer, my A levels, even my GCSEs, they were all like psychology, science, history, politics. So I studied those, but I didn't last very long doing those subjects in college. I did them for about 2 weeks, and I was just like, nah, can't do this. I cannot study history, government, and politics anymore. So I can't study psychology. And I remember saying to myself, like, you know, I'm a creative person. I love singing. I love dancing. I love acting. And just my creativity is my passion. And I wanted to switch over to theatre and drama and music, but I wasn't how old was I? I wasn't 18 at the time. I was still 16. So I needed my mum to sign the paperwork. Now let me tell you, mum is a typical or stereotypical African parent where, you know.
Are you from Ghana?
No, everyone thinks I'm from Ghana. I'm from Cameroon, but I know I look. I
love Cameroon. I've been to Cameroon. Love Cameroon.
Have you met people?
Yes. I have family there as well. Yeah, love Cameroon.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. That's where my family are from. But yeah, my mum was just like, no, you're going to be a lawyer, and that is it. So going home with this paperwork to tell her that I now want to be a musician, she was just like, oh my gosh, you're going to bring shame on the family. Why does God hate this? But I had to do it. And she signed the paperwork and didn't talk to me for 2 days. I can look back on it now and laugh, but I've never been so scared in my life, but like really had to like stand my ground, because I was just like, this is me, this is who I am. Like, yeah, studied music, went on to do that at university, but even I think during my first year of studying commercial music, I realized that I didn't like commercial music at all. Like, I love world music, I love jazz.
What's commercial music then?
Commercial music is just writing music that will sell, whether that's for songs to get on the radio, or making music for films, writing jingles for TV shows, or even for radios. And it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. Like, music is an energy, it's a vibrational energy, and it doesn't have permission to enter people. And if I'm going to be making music and something that's going to enter people without permission, I want it to carry a higher vibration and actually have a positive impact on that person, so that person can go and have a positive impact on the community, and it spreads out into the world and so forth, you know.
So
very, very long way to answer your question.
That's fine. Can you drop me a note?
What, right now?
Yeah. No,
oh my
presents.
Oh, she always does this. We should have warned you.
Hey, are you ready? hey, okay. From hurts to healed, I continue to win my battles, 'cause I cannot be defeated. What was meant to be my downfall only ended up being a stepping stone to my greatness. That is it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well done. Normally people are like, no. You put you on the spot and you stepped up to the plate. No, well done. That was beautiful. Was that one of your own, or was that?
Yeah, one of my own. But I mean, I don't perform. I really hardly ever perform. And I think that's just because my writing is very much to do with like social commentary and personal experiences, and it's also a way for me to to explore and process as well.
Yeah.
But then also I'm a deeply spiritual person, and a lot of my songwriting lately has veered in towards the more spiritual aspect, and I don't want to turn my spirituality into a commodity. Like, I'm not performing. If I am, I'm doing it in front of an altar or something, you know what I mean, to really call in that energy. So yeah, that's why no one sees me, because I'm not performing to anyone. No one is my God, you know.
I see.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so Iola.
Yeah, so you've done the uni thing. Did you graduate from uni? What did you do after that?
Oh gosh, no, I didn't graduate. I dropped out after second year.
Okay,
I don't want to.
You decided, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I understand that, I've been there. But so what did you do after that? What was your career path up until obviously starting your own business? What did you get into?
Gosh, I actually got into hairdressing, and that's something that I started doing while I was at uni. I needed a job part-time, and I'd already been working in a hair salon since I was 13, 14. So I started working in a hair salon, and it was a L'Oreal one. They paid for me to go to college and like get me trained up. So I worked for different L'Oreal hair salons for a while. But then after that, again, pardon?
Doing European hair?
Yeah, so it was doing European hair, because I lived in Broadstairs as well. So I lived in Kent. I lived in Kent. And when I got into my second year of uni, there were a lot more black students coming in just coming in, and they needed their hair done. So they'd all come to
so which university did you go to?
Canterbury Christchurch University, but yeah, in the Broadstairs campus. So not too far from Canterbury itself, but loads of black students started coming in from about 2007 into that area, and I would do all of their hair, which was cool. And then after I did that for maybe, I think that was literally just under 3 years, I just sort of had enough of that and really got into cooking. So then I started working in different restaurants and cafes, just been in the kitchen cooking. And then I did it professionally for a little bit as well. But when I say I really mean a little bit, like the pressure of working in really like popular restaurants is next level. And I was just like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to be shouted at or have orders barked at me from like 5 different directions. I'm good. Like, I'm good.
Okay, so
what's that guy's name? That cook?
What, Gordon Ramsay?
Gordon Ramsay, yeah.
Gordon Ramsay kitchen.
Yeah, it was literally like that, and I was just like, no, I'm out of here, mates, I'm out.
Yeah. Oh gosh. All right, so so moving forward, I did jump into it at the beginning, but so you're doing the work thing, and then you've got into this relationship, and that's kind of where I guess the story begins in terms of your journey towards the steaming business. So do you want to now tell us about that story, starting from the beginning, in terms of story?
So this didn't actually happen too long after I moved back from London. Now you have to forgive me, I'm really, really bad with dates, and this is one of the lasting effects of trauma, is that I'm just really, my memory is awful and I can't think back the date. So I'm always just like, 5 years, maybe 6 years ago or 7. Like it's not consistent, just because my memory just doesn't function like the way it used to anymore.
That's fine.
So maybe let's just put it at 2014 is when I moved back to London, and I was very much a part of like the poetry community and stuff like that. So always going out, and met this guy. Now I just want to make something very, very clear. We were never in an actual relationship. He thought we were, but I was always just like, no, we're not. But I was very very young. I was 24, newly back in London. This guy was much older, much more experienced, which meant he just had the upper hand in terms of being able to like manipulate me. And it started off as emotional. It just went on for years, and just made me like, anytime I try to like distance myself, it always make me feel really bad and really guilty. You've done this to me, blah 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 blah. And this went over like a period of, I literally want to say about 1.5 years, and then it got to a point where he actually locked me in. Like he just snapped when I made it, like for the millionth time, I just made it clear. I was just like, I am single. Like, you and I were not a thing.
So what was the relationship dynamic at that time then? So is it just that you were friends, or were you performing together, or what was the dynamic of the friendship or relationship?
So we did actually work together. We never performed together, but because I had my own poetry event, so I was I was a curator and a poetry promoter as well. We were always at the same shows. I mean, the poetry scene in London, especially within like the Black community, is very small. So we'd always be out if not together, then at least just like at the same event. And when I look back at it, I'm just like, actually, was he literally everywhere I went to seem as though we're together, and just other guys like maybe trying to have access to me, or almost like I'm keeping eyes on you kind of thing. But either way, there was it I don't want to say it was like a close relationship, but I mean, I just thought we were friends at the time. I just thought we were friends. And even though like I'd again like trying to distance myself, and he like saying do really horrible things, I was guilted. Like I was literally guilted, and felt like I had an obligation to be like, oh well, you know, he did say he's sorry and this and this and that. I'm just like goodness knows how many other women have been made to feel guilty for standing their ground and whatever. And it was literally like that. But yeah, it was a very jealous, manipulative and controlling person. I just didn't see it at the time. Like I just didn't, even though my very intuition was just like, no, like this is not going to end well. Like it's not going to end well. I suppose it's like there's an influence from everywhere else, and that's where the conditioning, especially for women, comes in. It's just like, oh, you should be forgiving. Oh no, you should be accessible. Oh no, you're being selfish. Or no, you should do this. And I was just like conditioned out of listening to my intuition, which really wanted the best for me, not all of those other voices. And what makes it even worse is that there were a lot of women that were co-signing this guy's behavior, and older women. And I was just like, oh, well, these older women who look just like me, who are on the path that I'm on, of course I'm going to want to follow in their footsteps. You know, that's just almost like the natural order of things. So because we'd worked together, just always together. I think he felt like he had access to me, and so that's why I think it was like really easy for him to get me over to his, to literally lock me in his flat. So he did that and locked me in his flat.
Let's back up a minute. So hold on. You was friends with this guy for a year and a half. Okay, you made it pretty clear that you wasn't in an intimate relationship, so it was platonic, right? Yeah. Are you saying that during this period of time that you were kind of like naive?
100. I think I was just, and that's just because of my age. I was 24. And just sort of like just about to strike out on my own in terms of maybe really standing in and exploring my womanhood.
Yeah. So what kind of things was it that he was doing that kind of like kept you forming a friendship with him?
I'd say it was definitely like emotional a lot of emotional manipulation. So he'd make me feel bad if I ever said no to him, just be like, oh, do you want to come out here? Do you want to go there? And I'd be like, oh no, I just want to do something bad. Oh, well, every time, like, did you not like me or something? Do you think I'm an ogre? I don't want to hurt you or anything. Why did you really make me feel really, really bad? Oh, now you've ruined my night. You've ruined my evening. I was meant to go out and perform, and now I can't because of you. And I'd be like, oh crap, like, don't want to do that. Like, oh gosh, I've made a man really, really angry, especially. And because he was a lot older, like I think I'm actually not that much older than, I think maybe like his oldest daughter. And so
so when he'd say things like that, would you just then say, okay, then I'll go out with you?
Yeah, but okay, I'll meet you there in a bit then, or something. Or if he wanted to use a venue for poetry, and some of the venue manager would be like, okay, yeah, you can do it, but only if you do it with Emma, because I just had such a good show, my own show, and just like really good connections, and was really good at promotion. Like I had really good connections with Time Out magazine, and this is the magazine he was trying to get into. And I was just like, I don't want to work with him. I was just like, I don't want to work with him. So I'm like, no, I can't do this show. I can't have my own show, and it's really, really hampering me. I don't know why you won't want to work with me, and I've helped you so much with this and this and that. I put you on an open mic at my show. Why can't you just do it back? You're not loyal. And I'd be like, I'd be made to just feel like crap.
Yeah.
And the way to make myself feel better would be to do what he said or what he wanted, which was to maybe put on an event with him, or collaborate in some sort of way, or but like, oh, you embarrass me, you make me feel really, really bad and stuff like that. Now people think this and this and that about me, and you've got to show with that person. Why have you got to show with that person and not me? Like, remember what I did for you. But you remember when I helped you to set up for that venue? And it's just like, oh my gosh. And the thing is, like, this guy's really tall. I mean, I'm petite anyway, like I'm 5 foot, whereas this guy's like 6 foot, goodness knows, whatever. Probably like close to age to my dad. So he's like physically intimidating. Like, really loud.
Older as well.
Yeah, and he's old. Well, so he just got like definitely got the upper hand in so many ways, whereas again I'm Dave, my naive 24-year-old self, and sort of like Bambi, I can just about stand up. And the thing is, it's just like at the beginning he made me feel like we actually like I was safe with him, and would speak to him about the issues that I was having with my dad, because I don't have a great relationship with my dad and didn't back then. So it's almost like, oh, she's got daddy issues, I'm definitely going to lock onto that. And she has an unstable relationship with her dad, so I'm going to tell her that I'm always going to be there for her. I'm going to be the stability that she's needed. And it was literally that. But also just like sexual advances as well, and that was where I definitely like didn't feel safe, and was just like, okay, I really need to put distance between us, because I'd say no, like no, just simple word no, but he'll be like, no is just a yes in disguise, right?
Oh gosh,
it's a psychopath.
like, what? Like, oh my gosh. And the thing is, like, he'd say that as a joke and in front of people and even at his shows and stuff like that. So everyone would be laughing it off. And I'd be thinking, okay, well, he's not dangerous. You know, everyone else is laughing, you know.
Is that constant? It sounds like it was that constant co-signing by people who obviously you respected, and that made you
Yeah.
kind of trust him more. And you thought that you may be questioning yourself and thinking maybe it's just me. I can see how
Yeah.
that kind of built up to you feeling like, okay, let me just give him a chance, or let me just keep him around, you know,
Yeah.
because it's a very
Yeah.
tight knit community, like you said. And I guess
Yeah.
there would have been this kind of ostracizing, maybe potentially, if you were to stand up for yourself, as little as
Yeah.
you were, and
Yeah.
as young as you were. So yeah, so
Mm.
okay, so you're in this flat with him. So what exactly happened? Why you were left in the flat? What happened? So he invited you over. Was that to go over stuff, or
No. So he had, I don't know why, but I remember I had a performance event. I had loads of equipment and stuff with me, and I
yeah,
left them at the venue. And then he went to the venue and got my things. I think he must have been like, oh, you know, I'm her friend, so you know, just give me her stuff, and you know, or she told me to come and collect them. So now
right,
he's got all things, and I'm just like, okay, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to go over to his to get them. And that was just all a lure. He didn't care about me getting those things. It was just a lure for me to go to his. And that's when he locked me in and started interrogating me. So when you said you're going, like, you text me saying you're going to sleep on this particular date, and he had so many things written on his wall. His house looked like a psych ward,
wow,
like it really did. And like
what,
quotes of last messages that I'd sent him, and then he'd
what?
actually write his own reaction next to it, like, wow, well, this girl's a liar, she's taken me for a fool. And like literally, and it'd be like the dates, the time I
Where was
said.
this? And where was this? In his bedroom, in the living room? So obviously you saw it.
So it was so the thing is, like, his bedroom was his living because he rented out his other rooms.
Okay.
Yeah, and he had a whiteboard like up on his wall where he'd like write his things, and I'm just there
Yeah.
thinking, OMG, like, Emma, what the heck? So, you know, 10:36 on such and such a date, where were you? You don't lie to me, you were with that guy, you were screwing him, weren't you? You were screwing him. Oh, and that after we left that event and I saw you and so walking down the street, and you said you're going to go and get the bus home, where were you? It doesn't normally take you that long to get home, and this time, and and I was just like, what the heck? But you know, when someone has already made up their mind, there's nothing you can say to convince them otherwise, because that's what they've already decided. And because I was telling the truth, it just didn't match up with the image, with the story that he'd already created in his head.
Yeah.
So the actual like verbal abuse and like emotional like interrogation and stuff must have lasted for, I want to say, like, that part lasted for 2 hours.
Wow.
And then after that he just snapped and just started picking up whatever, and just like, at first it was his trainer and started hitting me with that, and then it was a broom, and then it was the brush from his dustpan and brush, and then he broke a glass and then like held that to me, and you know, that lasted for about 4 hours. Yeah, he tried to throw me off his balcony, but he himself was so fidgety that he couldn't actually lift me up to throw me over the balcony, like, thank heavens. Then like me back in, and then trying to set fire to my hair, but again he was so fidgety that he couldn't get the lighter to actually light. Again, thank heavens.
Has he been taking something or something? You said he was
No,
fidgety.
this is just him.
Right.
But the thing is, when you meet the guy, everyone can tell that something is off, and this is exactly what my intuition had told me when we met. It's like, something's not right, like, stay away from this guy, like, stay away. And the thing is, when this all came out, I'll go back to that a bit later, when this all came out, everyone said the same thing, like, there's some, like, everyone knows that there's something a bit off with him. So yeah, he hasn't taken anything, this is just who he is. So yeah, so that must, so he couldn't set my hair on fire, so he actually ripped out some of my hair. I had locks at the time, actually ripped out, so I think about 4 or 6 were actually ripped out from actual scalp, and then he cut the rest off. And he actually he got my purse, he systematically actually laid down each of my cards. So it was my provisional driving license, my bank card, my Oyster card, and like another one that I would have needed, cut all of them up, so that, you know, I wouldn't have been able to travel if I escaped. I wouldn't have been able to get any money out, or anything. And I wouldn't have had any ID on me either. And yeah, it's literally just that for like another four hours. And the thing is, like, he knew what he was doing, because especially with the timing of it, because I didn't get to his till maybe like 11, and on the same day that I think the TfL announced that they're no longer taking cash on buses. So I did have a little bit of cash, but I wouldn't have been able to use it anyway. I mean, and he even said that. He even said it was just like, oh, well, your money's useless to you now, even if you do go anywhere. It's just like, oh my gosh. And the thing that makes it even like more harrowing is that I think he was almost, he just kept on, just like, this is only going to get worse and worse and worse if you don't tell the truth. Did you sleep with so and so? And every time I said no, because I hadn't, not that it's any of his business anyway, but this is what a lot is about. It's his own male ego, it's his own sense of desire that wasn't pleased. And it's such a patriarchal thing, the belief that we exist to be these men, that we shouldn't have any options, you know. So, you know, every time he asked me about, you know, different guys that he thought I might have slept with, and I said no again, because that was the truth, he'd either headbutt or punch me. And, you know, he named about 20 people, and I was just like, I physically can't take this anymore. I was just like, I'm not passing out here. I was like, I'm not passing out here. And then one time he asked me, and he's really sick as well, he's just like, okay, I'm going to ask you this. If you say, he was just like, and I'm going to let you choose. Do I headbutt or do I punch you? Like, oh my gosh. And he did neither of them. He got me and slammed my head against the radiator. You know, there was my blood splatters all over his room. And again, I was just like, it got to about sort of like the 21, 22, and I was just like, I don't want to die here. And again, he actually threatened to kill me. He was just like, he said, only one of us are going to make it out alive here, and it's going to be me. And just like, okay, like, this is getting like super crazy, because he got some of the broken glass and grabbed me and said he was going to slip one of the veins on my wrist. There's a particular one, if you slip, like, you're dead. There's nothing that can be done. So he said, like, answer me seriously. And I managed to like struggle and get away. By this time, he'd already barricaded his bedroom door, and there were about 5 different things in front of it. And I was just like, I'm just gonna have to make a dash for it. So I started like moving his things. And at the time, like, he was punching me. He was still punching me, like dragging me about and stuff. But I was just like supercharged with adrenaline, luckily, that I was just...
What was going through your head at that time? Because you sound like, obviously, and maybe like the fight or flight thing must have kicked in, but what was going through your... It
was literally fight or flight, and the only thing was just get out. Almost like that film, Get Out, just get out. Just to get... My thing was like, just get out. And it's almost like, it's really strange, like somehow I managed to block out the pain. Like, I just went so physically numb, but it's just as if it wasn't for that, I probably would have passed out there. Just
because you're petite, like you said, you know, if you're only 5 foot and you're very slim, you know, just physically, you know, managing that. For 2 hours, you said. So this is like now 6 hours by the time you got out, right? You said.
Yeah, so 6 hours. So by the time it's 5:30 in the morning now, about 5:30 in the morning.
But did his roommates not come back? The people who he was sharing a place with?
I think one of them was actually in the house, and one of his neighbours, I think some of his neighbours were in. The thing is, I was screaming. I was screaming for help, but no one came. No one came, like, no one. The thing is, one of his neighbours, it's a family that lives next door, and I think he got into an argument with one of the daughters. She's maybe similar age to me. He told me about how one time they got into an argument. He dragged her and went to throw her over a balcony as well. And that family didn't speak to him for a while, but then somehow they managed to hash things out, and then they're speaking again. So I'm just like, they already know about his violence.
Right.
Because they experienced it with their own daughter. and now they're all pally pally. Like, how on earth? And that's
no sense.
visible.
No
It's
sense.
visible. It just excuses and again co-signs his behavior. And every time someone is abusive, even if it's the most tiniest thing, when it's co-signed, when it's forgiven, when it's justified, I say that in commas, it just allows for more abusive behavior to get bigger and bigger, because it's just, well, I've done this, there was no punishment, let me see what else I can get away with. So luckily I managed to escape, and luckily he lived like right by a tube station, so I literally just like ran down the road. One of my eyes was like closed shut from where I've been like punched so many times. I had like blood dripping down my face, but I was literally just like just run, like just run. One good eye, I just kept on just like wiping the blood as I was running down the street. And I got to the tube station and just like slid under the barriers and was like banging on the door for where the controllers work. And it was just like, I've obviously like freshly just beaten up, and again still blood running down my forehead, clothes had been torn up and like blood all over my clothes. The woman was just, and it was a woman as well, oh my god, she was like, you need to call the police. I was just like, I don't have a phone. I was like, can I come in and wait here while to call the police and wait for them to get me? And the guy was just like, no, you can't come in, slammed the door in my face.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Whichever. And then I ran down the escalator and then onto the platform. I could have gone to Brixton, because this was in Stockwell, so I could have gone to Brixton, but I thought that's too close. For the guy came out and was trying to look for me. I thought, no, the best thing to do is to get away. So I thought, okay, the next police station I thought to go to was the one in Tottenham, and there's a train that would have taken me straight there. So I was on a tube station, and when I say like, I was waiting there maybe for about 3 minutes, and that felt like the most longest time ever in my life. And I'm like there, like, shaking like a leaf and all of that, and people were looking at me, like the only few people that were there at that time in the morning, looking, but like no one's saying anything or offering any help. Even when I got to Tottenham police station, the policeman behind the desk was just so lax, like again visibly beaten up. It's not that I looked like I was drunk, I was visibly in pain or whatever, and he literally just slid me a piece of paper and a pen and was just like, okay, take a seat and just note down your name or whatever. And it was another woman who was there who advocated for me, just like, what's wrong with you, can't you see that she's just been beaten up, can't you see she's in a terrible state, you need to do more, like get out here now. And then he came out, but when I tell you, this guy was dragging his feet, and he was such an uncle about it as well. It's just like he did not want to work that day, like at all. And then luckily I managed to get some help, but even like they took a few pictures of me, and then I was just like, can I at least just go and wash the blood off my face for a bit? So I went in the toilets, and there was a policewoman like in there doing her makeup. And at this point, like the adrenaline started leaving my body, and I genuinely felt like I was going to pass out. So one day, ending up, like I had to hold onto the actual taps to stop myself from falling, and she did not help. She was literally there putting on her blusher. And then someone knocked on the door to be like, are you okay? Asking for me. And the policewoman was just like, oh, no, she's okay.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. And I'm just like, what? Like, how am I okay? How am I okay? Like, I'm holding on to the for dear life.
Clearly you weren't okay,
Exactly. But this, and I'd love to be able to speak about this a bit later, but this is honestly, I swear down, if I was a white woman, she would not have said that. And this is when it comes to women in general, regardless of your race, not taken seriously, not listened to. But when you're a black woman, it's even worse. This whole strong black woman trope really works against us, because again, I was there fainting, just about managed to like stop the bleeding. One swollen shut, blood all over me, my hair was all cut off, and she said, I'm okay. What more would needed to have happened to me for her to have been like, oh no, we need some help? You know what I mean? So luckily I managed to get help, and I was taken home. And for a few weeks, like I was, I'll say a few weeks, a few days, I was just like literally just left to rest. But there was no way on earth I was not going to press charges. So I did press charges. And the way, do you know what? As horrible as the the whole stuff with the guy was, and I'm talking from like the very first time we met all the way to when I escaped his, like that whole thing. I'm telling you, the experience with the legal system, I would much rather go through what I went through with the guy rather than the actual trauma of the legal system, because that made it even worse. Because after I went home and I was back home living with my dad, it's like they have no understanding of trauma. They have no they just weren't sympathetic or even empathetic at all. Getting calls every day constantly, when are you coming in to give your statement? We need you to come statement, we need you. And that was it. It wasn't okay, how are you? It's like, have you been to the hospital? It wasn't you know, doctors saying, it was none of that. It was just the quicker you statement, the better. You know, we've got him in custody, you know, process this, we've got a long waiting list. And it was just like I was treated like an annoyance, a nuisance, that they just need to get it ticked off their list. Or something.
There was no duty of care. Did they actually advise you to go to the hospital? Did they advise you? Because I'm assuming that would have been part of the process as well, to go to hospital.
So when from when I let me think. When I was at Tottenham Police Station, after I had given like very basic details, I was actually escorted to the hospital by 2 police, and they actually stayed with me in hospital the whole time. And I was only maybe there for, I want to say maybe 4 hours, and I was put on a drip just because I was in so much pain, and I was just like, I just need to sleep. So I literally just, I was just there, I'm just like, I just need to sleep, and that was it. And luckily, you know, some blood samples were taken, some pictures were taken, and that's it. And then they took me home, and that's when I was able to rest for a few days. But yeah, like it was really horrible, because during the whole thing with getting the police case together, first of all, I mean, again, this guy lived in Stockwell, and they wanted me to go to Brixton because that's in his area, and I was just like, I don't feel safe going there. Yeah, why would I was just like, don't you understand, this guy lives there? And they were just like, oh, but Stockwell's, you know, Stockwell and Brixton are 2 different places. That was their justification. I was just like, it's 10 minutes down the road, bruv. But again, they do not care. Like, they don't care. And it's like, oh, you know.
And where did you live at the time? Where did you live at the time?
Thamesmead.
Thamesmead. Okay.
Yeah. So still south, but just like a very different part of south.
Where did you end up corresponding with? Which station did you end up corresponding with most?
Brixton.
So you had to go to Brixton?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to go.
Wow.
I had to go. There wasn't any other choice. But the thing is, because what made me feel a bit better was, I say better, it's almost like a mantra that I had to keep in my head, like, he is in jail, because he was held in custody. So and that's literally the only thing that made me feel a bit better. And even then, I was just like, I called about 100 times before going to be like, are you sure he's in custody? Are you sure he's in custody? Because I had no trust in myself, I had no trust in the police, just no trust whatsoever, and was just so scared. And it was just so fresh that I was just like, oh, I just need to make sure that I'm safe. And I kept on having to go back to Brixton, and this maybe lasted for about 3 months in terms of getting the statement together. Getting a statement together. But even with that, like, he was going to be charged with, I think, like bodily harm rather than battery, threats to kill, and kidnapping. And I was like, why isn't he being charged with more? And they were just like, you don't have enough. They literally said, you don't have enough damage to your body. And I was just like, I don't have to have enough damage to my body. Like, he's pleaded guilty to everything. My statement was, I swear, it was like a novel. Like, it was actually like a novel, and there was so much there. And the police, like, they had my hair, they had that in a plastic bag. Everything I said was in terms of like, even like the description of his room and my cards and how he'd laid them out, my blood splatter, everything. So it's just like, what more do you need? Like, what more it's just like, I honestly feel like they would have done more if he had actually killed me. And it's so sad and harrowing to say that this is reality. That's been the reality for so many women
Yeah.
that men who do this don't actually go to jail until they actually kill someone. And the police know this, they have statistics, but they just don't care.
Yeah.
It's a patriarchal system, and it's not within their interest to protect women. They protect men, they protect the patriarchy. So in order for me to get a higher sentence, they were like, we need more pictures of the of any damage to your body, so that we're going to need you to go to your doctors, we're going to need scans and x-rays and this and that. And you know, at the time I was still experiencing like major panic attacks, lots of anxiety, I wasn't sleeping. When I did, I had nightmares and flashbacks, I wasn't eating, and again, I'm petite. At the time I looked like skeletal, I was literally just bones, my clothes were all hanging from me, and I was in denial. I really was in major denial, and said, I honestly believed in my head that I had put all of my clothes on the wrong wash just to make myself feel better, because it was the only thing I had to make myself feel good about something about myself. Because like while this guy was attacking me, he was like, it's your fault, you're making me do this, can't you see how much I liked you, and now you go and do this, I wouldn't be doing this if you had just done this, and you know, this is all your fault, right? This is all your fault. So I still had that in my head. Even then a policewoman who I initially spoke with, she was just like, okay, it's not your fault, he will make you try and believe that, but it's not your fault. And I just didn't believe that, because again, for about a year and a half, the guy kept on blaming everything that he did on me, not taking any accountability. So yeah, I had to go to the back to the doctor. So my GP was just like, well, first of all, was white, and just you know, people just see
a man or woman? Was it a man or woman? Sorry.
So I had a man who was my GP, and I was just like, okay, so here's what's happening. And the thing is that when I went back, I was almost like, you could tell that I'd been abused. Like I still had like, well, that's what I thought anyway. Like my right eye that had swollen shut was still red, because there'd been like internal bleeding, and I could visibly see the bruises on myself, and they were getting darker and darker every day. So I needed to go and get the pictures, and he was just like, well, I can't see anything, maybe you should call the nurses in. So I had to go back and book another appointment. And just like trauma, like over and over again. It's just like, I don't want to look at my body with all of these bruises. I don't want to have to take my clothes off in front of people. I don't want to be in this sterile, cold environment.
Of course.
My bruised up, beaten
like
body.
Object. Yeah.
But then the nurses would just be like, well, we can't see anything. We'll take pictures, but we can't see anything. It's just like, don't doubt me. Like, don't make me feel like this, you know, like I just need the pictures, whether you can't see it or not. And then at one point there would, like, one nurse actually straight up said to my face, she was just like, I can't see anything. Like, I was just like, okay, well, can you get maybe a black nurse or black GP to at least come and look at me and take pictures? Or we don't have anyone in now, there aren't any black GPs here. So then I would have had to sign up to another GP in a different area, but it's just like, how can I do that if I don't live there? So then I started, I got asked the policewoman in charge of my case to write a letter to my GP on behalf, and they said that they'll get a South Asian doctor, pardon me, to have a look into it, but no.
And all this time, the bruising is healing up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the thing is that some bruises were healing up, some were developing. I just looked really like patchy, just like patchwork, especially over my arms. And I was just like, some of them are going, I really need pictures of this to be taken. And I couldn't submit my own. I couldn't take pictures on my own phone. They needed to have been from someone within the medical industry.
Yeah.
So again, I never managed to get an appointment with this Asian doctor. And I called up and been like, you know, like so-and-so, this has happened, I need pictures. And one lady just straight up over the phone just went, you know, we've been round. It was almost like she huffed and puffed, and just like, we've been round and round with this before, Emma. We just can't do this anymore. You know, we're a very busy GP. We've got loads of other patients to see. It's like I was a nuisance.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, okay, well, if you won't do it, I was just like, can you just get someone else? She was just like, no, and put down the phone, and that was it.
What?
Yeah. And that was it. She hung up on me, and that was it. And so yeah, I just couldn't get the case I couldn't get the sentencing to be changed to a higher one, and I just wasn't in a place mentally to now go and be starting a petition and then sending it around, because I had a lot of shame in me.
What kind of support did you have from family, friends? Who did you tell?
Well, I mean, I obviously I told my family, but the thing is, this is oh God, it gets even worse. My dad didn't care. My dad blamed me.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad, because the day after I went home, he's just like, okay, call your sisters over and your brother, and I was with him in the living room on the phone. He's just like, you know, guys, come over. There's something that's happened to Emma. And then he was just like, you know, she's got herself into this horrible situation. So I got myself.
Yeah, he's already placing the blame.
Yeah, exactly. And then when my sister's brother came over, he said, you know, when the police called me, I knew it was about Emma, because none of my other girls would be silly enough to let this happen to them.
Oh my God.
So I had no support. He blames me. He literally blames me. And I was just like, the thing is, it's almost a bit of a blessing, because even he you know, he works part-time. He's able to sort out a lot of his own shifts. Never once did he offer to come to Brixton with me. I even had to go.
What about your sisters?
I think they were. I just think they just didn't know how to help me, to be honest. And you know, a lot of them have like their own families and stuff. And this isn't to badmouth them or anything. I just don't think they knew how to help me. But then also, I was so shut down. I was so shut down that I didn't want to talk to anyone. Anyway, so I think I really helped myself, Eva, to be honest.
And what about your mum?
So my mum had only just, we were estranged for maybe about 6 or so years, and I preferred that she wasn't involved.
Right. Okay.
Because I think that would have exasperated any mental health problems that she had before. And I was just like, I just don't need that. Like, I just don't need that.
Yeah.
And like I completely shut down. I wasn't going out. At one point I was too scared to go out, so I didn't leave the house for goodness knows how long. At one point, and that was it. I just shut down. And if I did turn up anywhere, I was only physically present. Like, I wasn't there emotionally and mentally. Like, it was like the lights are on but no one's home type of situation.
So what happened? So when he was arrested, he was taken to the police station. What was he charged with?
I can't actually fully remember, but I think it was just actual bodily harm.
But he went to prison?
No, so he was only held in custody for 3 months. No, and this is where it gets even worse. So he never went to prison.
Huh?
Yeah, he never went to prison. And you know, the reason why he never went to prison is because one, he pleaded guilty. So this guy, he has been in and out of jail. He's like for a majority of his life. So he knows how to play the system.
Right.
He knows how to play. Pleading guilty, regardless of what it's to, it's almost like, oh, well done. You haven't lied to try and cut this. So we're gonna, good behaviour. So if you plead guilty, you can murder someone. If you plead guilty, that will still lessen your time. You know, I mean, that's how the system works. So he knows how to play it. And I had I think it's the independent, like, domestic violence advisor or something. So she kept in touch with me with everything. And she was great. Like, she was really, really great. And she said to me that you don't need to go to court simply because he pleaded guilty, because there was nothing that he would have objected to. But that actually didn't work in my favour, even though I just thought, I don't want to go to court because that would be the first time I'm seeing him. I'm not emotionally ready. I'm not strong enough to at all. But that didn't work in my favour, because the story that he told the judge was that we were together, we were in a relationship for 6 months. So we were in a relationship for 18 months. During those 18 months, I had been lying to him. I'd been sleeping with loads of other guys. And remember, even though it's in court and judges, the legal system is still made up of men. And these are the same men say to women who've been raped, well, what were you wearing? Why were you out at that time? What did you expect? You know? So what they're hearing is, oh my gosh, he was in a relationship with a woman and she didn't make herself fully available to him. No, that should never happen to a man, you know?
Yeah.
So because I'm there to object to anything that he said or give my side of the story, that just made everything look good for him. So he literally, when I say he got a slap on the wrist and that was it. He was out after 3 months.
3 months.
So is there any caution that
and so what I
sorry.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Hello?
Oh, she's gone.
All right.
She's disconnected.
Put this on pause.
Yeah, so because, so he got a slap on the wrist and he got a suspended sentence for, I think it was suspended for 12 months. So any other crime he had committed, nothing to do with our case, any crime he committed during that time, he would have gone back to jail. So he would have gone to jail and then actually served the sentence. So it's just like, why not just make him do that sentence anyway? Like, he'd obviously done something wrong. You can see he's got a backlog of offences, mainly violent.
Like, violence towards women?
Pardon?
Was his other cases violence towards women?
He had a few, but a lot of his cases were violence towards men. And it's crazy because it's crazy. When he actually came out of prison, he went straight onto Facebook and was bragging about the whole thing.
Wow.
Bragging.
What did he say? Bragging how?
Oh, well, that was easy. So he said his first, a few people sent me screenshots. They said, I still got a file of them. Oh, well, that was easy. I did all of that and I was only in there for 3 months. Well, time to get back on track with my life now.
Wow.
Yeah, like no shame, no nothing. And then he was just like, oh, well, yeah, and it's like, I was every name under the sun or anything that's associated with sort of like women being just women having agency. So I was, I don't know if I can say the words. I was the S word. I was a whore. I was the B word. I was a conniving C word. Everything, absolutely everything. And how I had done this. He actually bragged about how he beat me up.
Absolutely disgusting. So what was the community response? Because we talk about accountability. Was there any accountability in your network? Because it was a small community of your poetry network. What happened with that?
So do you know what? I must admit, I got a lot of support. So a lot of people just jumped on him. A lot of people jumped on him and were just like, oh my gosh, you're disgusting, what you're doing. And it got to the point where I saw some of the screenshots of the message where even he was just like, I'm getting way too much hate, so I'm going to have to log off. Like, I'm not going to be on Facebook anymore. And he did that a few times where he'd come back on, get lots and lots of hate again. But it's just like, what did he expect? Like, what did he actually expect? He expected to be excused because these are the same people who would excuse his behaviour before. These are the people who would excuse his behaviour before. And I think he just thought, he's done it before, he's done worse, he's come back in and the community have, accepted him with open arms again and be like, oh, oh, brother, you can turn things around, brother, and, we're all in nation, brother, and, we can't hold anything against anyone, brother, and, all these hopes. And, the so-called conscious community. But, I got a lot of support, and there were loads of, and at the time, I really felt like I was ready to go back out. I was just like, I'm not staying at home as if I'm the one that's in prison. I actually did my first Yoni steam while he was in custody. I'll go back to that a bit, but yeah, so that was the response. But it's crazy because there were actually some people, and when I say people, I mean women,
Mm-hmm.
who were on his side.
What?
Um,
People that,
yeah,
did you know these women? Are they friends of his, or are they mutual friends, or?
I think they were more his friends. If anything, for me, they would have been an acquaintance or something on the
Yeah,
poetry.
yeah.
One of the women was actually one of his lodgers, and I think they actually had a good friendship. I only sort of
Mm-hmm.
saw her like every now and then. We never really had conversation. And you know, her post was, really nice to have you back, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, speak your truth. You shouldn't be ashamed. And there
But he
was another
admitted
woman.
it. Why he should be ashamed? He admitted it.
Yeah, but even so, this same woman, I saw her at his house because I needed to go back to his house. Again, this is while he was in custody.
Mm.
There was some of my things in his house, like I still needed to get my phone, my house
You're
keys,
right. Mm-hmm.
all of my stuff. You know, the things that he took from the venue were
Yeah.
there at his. So I needed to go and get those. And she was there, and she was like, "Oh, where's Errol? Haven't seen him in a while." And I was just like, "Oh yeah." So he sort of locked me up for 6 hours and beat me up. She was like, "Oh my gosh," really, really shocked. But
Mm.
then he was down the line 3 months later, being like, "Oh, you know, don't be ashamed, brother. It's really nice to have you back, brother." And then there was another woman who commented, "Well, you know, if she's going to go out and being a hoe, what does she expect?"
What?
There were, yeah, there were
Oh.
a few women who said that. And I think there was another one who she made a joke, like there was a post that someone screenshot, because I needed lots of evidence to gather for like another case, to be like, here's why he needs to be in jail. Like, I'm still traumatized. Like, it's
Right,
emotional
right.
cyberbullying.
Yeah.
And so I needed the screenshots, and it was crazy. There was one woman who made a bit of a joke. She said, "I'm here if you ever need to talk and, you know, want a bit of a punching bag." Lol.
To him, to who? To you or to him?
No, to him. That's one of the comments that I saw
What?
on his post. And remember, he'd been posting, bragging about exactly what he had done to me.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
had me as a punching bag. Not only was I an emotional punching bag before it got physical, and he locked me at his, but then he'd actually punched me. Goodness knows how many
Mm-hmm.
times. There he is making a joke, like, you know, if you ever need someone to talk to or want a punching bag, lol. Like, what?
She
And
must not be well either. It sounds like I mean, it sounds like there's a case, obviously, of, and I'm not using this as any excuse at all, but there seems like there's a mental health issue
Yeah,
here.
definitely.
You know, from what you were picking up before in your spirit, in your gut, and what
yeah,
people were kind of feeling as well about him. Not to
yeah,
excuse it, but it seems like she also has some sort of issue as well to be saying that, because
yeah.
how can anyone in their right mind think that that's okay to justify or to excuse that and make a joke about it, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely absurd.
it's so
Absolutely
crazy
absurd.
that anyone would co-sign with the type of behaviour, but especially women,
Yeah.
because the system is so pitted against us. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is what it was. And then to make things even worse, and again, this is how trauma works. There are so many things that my mind just completely blotted out.
Yeah.
So I didn't get in touch with any of the guys that this guy accused me of sleeping with. And when he came out of jail, he's now getting in touch with all of these guys, be like, "I know you slept with her," and da 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 da. He's getting
It's
into
still continuing the nonsense.
Wow.
Oh my god, yeah, yeah. Oh my god, he
So
actually.
listen to this. Sorry to cut you, right? But you know we've gone way over time already.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But Emma, we'd like to
Yeah.
invite you back for part 2 of this, because
Yes.
obviously we
Oh my
have.
god.
Yes, she said yes, because we have. I mean, what am I trying to say? I'm not trying to relish in your story. It is a powerful story, and people need to hear that. So I didn't want to cut you, but I feel like, you know, we haven't spoken about other stuff as well. So I'd like to invite you back, maybe in a couple of weeks' time, so that we can continue this. Would that be okay?
Yeah, definitely. And it gets better. It actually does get better, like a lot more. Not to dismiss this, because it's a very important thing that we need to speak about.
Yeah.
But a lot more dishing on the Yoni Steaming and how that really like empowered me and everything. So yeah.
Right, okay, cool. So listen, I want to say thank you very much for coming on our show. It was very interesting to hear from you. I'm sorry that you went through all that. And
Yeah,
also the legal
absolutely.
system that has done nothing to help you. But I kind of like not understand. I've experienced some stuff as well where I see that they're just not interested. Okay, and so you know, it's for people like you who must continue, you know, to fight the good cause, because justice must be done sooner or later. You know, and yeah, I agree with you, Iona. I do believe that he has some mental health issues that hasn't been looked at, and I also feel that in his community or in his circle of people, right, he's able to act normal. Okay, he's able to act normal, and even though he said he was guilty, when he went onto Facebook, I feel like he gave a completely different story. Yeah, making it sound as if to say it was your fault, Emma. In other words, that was why people was able to be comforting or supporting towards him.
Yeah, he was totally justified because he blamed everything on me. And again, it's all to do with women taking ownership of their bodies.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be continued.
Well, listen, so just in case there's anybody out there who'd like to get in contact with you, you know, just give us your socials, how, you know, tell them how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, so the best place to get in touch with me is on Instagram. That's where I'm on the most, and all of my links are on my Instagram bio. So that's at mama_Luna Yoni Steam. I'll spell that out. So that's MAMA. Luna is LUNA. Yoni, YONI, and then just Steam. mama_Luna Yoni Steam.
Awesome, because we want to talk about that Yoni Steam and we want to give it lots of time.
Yes, we do.
That's it from me. And that's it from Iona. And we'll see you same time, same place next week. Keep it locked into Colourful.